Right. Well, welcome back, everyone. It's Eric Wolf, and it is 3 p.m. London time on Wednesday, the 22nd of April, 2020. And I am very excited to introduce our next guest, Janice Ruddick, who I came to know Janice when we worked together on an event that we produced in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And that was when Janice was head of the Taste of Nova Scotia organization. And really admired everything that that organization did, their programs, and got to know really what great things come out of Nova Scotia, the food and drink products. And we had a wonderful event, and Janice and I have stayed in touch over the years. And I would say that we've even become friends. And now when we travel together, we find reasons to find pinchos together, don't we, Janice?
Yes, yes, we do. Very good pictures.
Anyway, so I wanted to introduce Janice as a very special person. Um, Even though she is no longer the executive director of Taste of Nova Scotia, she knows this inside and out. She also has an interest in or works with grocery stores in the Toronto area and knows a lot about food service manufacturing and distribution. And she is the perfect person to address this subject. So, Janice, without further ado, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you very much, Eric. So right now, can everybody see me? Am I
Yes, we
being
can.
okay, perfect. So I'm going to start sharing my screen shortly, and I just going to take my time with it because there's two boxes I have to check, and there they are. And here we go. And how are we doing here?
Looks
Can we
great. We
see?
can see it fine.
Perfect. Great. Okay. Thanks, everybody. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here this morning. Well, for me, it's morning. For some of us here in Montreal and Ontario, it's still morning. And the opportunity to talk about your best green jam. So as Eric introduced me, I was 10 years with Taste of Nova Scotia, the executive director, a nonprofit association dedicated to promoting the local foods and restaurants of Nova Scotia. I came to the association in 2006. Had dwindled down to 90 members at that point in time. And the association was kind of wondering where it would fit. Was it a marketing organization? Was it an economic development agency? But at this point in time, it was decided to be a marketing organization and to grow our key mandate was to grow our members' businesses. So I did that for 10 years. Nova Scotia, I'm sure you've all heard of Nova Scotia in the past, but unfortunately you've heard about Nova Scotia a little bit too much in the last couple of days. And it has been absolutely heartbreaking to what has been going on. So uh, it is definitely a difficult time, but such a beautiful province. I lived there for 28 years. And then originally from Ontario, so I had to move back, but my heart still is in Nova Scotia. When I set my foot into the province 28 years ago, the first thing they talked about is, where are we going for dinner? Where do you want to go for dinner? I was like, I have found my people, because food has always been the number one priority for me. I love food, but I think what I do is I love sharing food more than anything. So it was definitely an awesome time in my life, the best time in my life to be in the province and working with Taste of Nova Scotia. So I'm going to keep going here, and that's a little bit about me. And so that's all right. So today I'm going to go very basic here. First of all, presenting 20 ideas. They've all been tested, all been know they work. So moving forward, and we'll just be talking about that in a very straightforward military way, 20 ideas, and go through those. It is certainly on the basis of how these products, when you develop them, come into attractions and building businesses. So I'm on the other side of the coin, where we talked about the food tours. Now we're talking about that content or producers for those food tours. I have 20 ideas that are low dollar investment, high sweat equity. So the members of Taste in Nova Scotia were all mostly small business members. They weren't corporations, they weren't multi-million, they were small businesses. So financing investment was always definitely taken into consideration on any idea. So low dollar investment, high sweat equity. They're thought starters. That's what these types of sessions, these webinars, anytime you go somewhere, you look for thoughts and starters and, oh yeah, now I see how I can apply this. Or if you're on the other side of the coin, oh, I can see what these people have to deal with or what they are doing. So they are meant to be thought starters. Obviously no guarantees, especially in this where we are right now. There are no guarantees that one idea is going to work better than the other. There are ideas that you can look at, and if they're going to be suited to my business, some of them are pretty rudimentary, and others will take some specific adaptation for your own personal business. As we have mentioned, and I think the last three presenters, including Eric, who have been absolutely excellent. I've enjoyed the content so much this morning, and I thank the previous presenters for that. Right now is the time to plan. It is not time to fish in Twitter to see any positive comments, what's going on in the world. If you continue to pick up and look at Twitter right now, you're going to drive yourself insane. So it is a time to plan. It is time to look forward. It is going to be a new day. And you know what? It's kind of exciting, some of it, because I think we're going to be more sensitive to what's going on. I think we're going to be not being on cruise control as much as we are. So it is definitely, it is a good time to move forward. I'm not going to go into the basics of when you do develop products, so I'm just going to go through them really quickly, and we're not going to spend any time on that. Definitely, you have to have a pleasing taste profile if you're in a food or beverage. Come on, I mean, obviously. There needs to be a need in the market. Follow all your food inspection guidelines, necessary public health and quality standards, and as well, if you're belonging to an association, have to follow those quality standards. You have packaging, logo, you have input, you have taken this product and you know that it is actually working and you have valued that input. And it's not a lab rat. So it's not something that was done in a commercial lab. You may have shared a lab, you may have a school where you're going into their lab, or a Department of Agriculture going into the lab, but it comes from a recipe, or it comes from a product that you hold dear to yourself, regardless of how you come to it. It is your product, so it's something that's come from you. Look, we're talking about it. We keep talking about it. Today is changing. It is not business as usual. One thing kind of exciting where we are right now is the fact is that there has been commitments by the governments that there will be investment. There will be investment to get going again. I say cheap money because in Canada, our interest rates have never been so low for borrowing. So take advantage of that. There's going to be a lot of things are coming up to take advantage. It's a restart. It's a new day, as I mentioned before. We've talked about this in and out a little bit today, but focus on local production. So here in Canada, a lot of our production went offshore and we felt it. So now coming back and saying, okay, we've already had in Ontario, where I now live, our premiers say that that's going to be a mandate, is focusing on local production. There's also, I think, a more heightened awareness about on small business now. You're hearing more and more about it. You're hearing how, not the good part, how they're struggling, how they have a month of payroll, how they won't be in business. But there is a realization there are businesses out there that are small, they're serving the community, and we can't have them leave. We just cannot have them leave. I'll go into a little bit of, I don't want to do stats or anything like that, but we have to understand that when you're coming out with a new product, 20 to 30% are successful from the University of Toronto. That shouldn't be daunting to anybody. It's, but it is a fact, and you don't want anybody to ever say, gee, I'm not going to go and do my product because there's such a low of success. I mean, if we went on those kind of stats, nobody would ever do anything because nothing is 100% success. So we have to understand that there is 20% to 30% that succeed. And also as well that there are varying degrees of success rates. So Harvard Business School also agrees with that. Why is success so challenging? Well, first of all, it's minimal preparation. We don't know what preparation to do, and we do the minimal. I got a great product. That's it. That's all I really need to do. I've got a great product, and off I go. And I've seen it. I've heard it. I've been there, and there has never been, and there isn't anything that follows up from that. The lack of research. So research today is just, I mean, it can't be easier. You get on your computer, you Google anything. Anything I have an issue with today, Google. Why doesn't my video play correctly on Zoom? Well, there were 10 videos that told me why my video doesn't play correctly on Zoom, and I was able to do it. So there's just easy to do research. Lab development, no heart, no passion. Done in a lab, done to make money, done really maybe, hopefully it works for you because there's investment there, but there's reasons that you are success because there's the passion. Blurry focus. The fact is that I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do everything else and oh, shiny object over here, I'm going to move over here. To be successful, laser focus when you're doing a product because of the competition, because of what the market environments we are in. It has to be laser focus. Too many ideas coming at you. I mean, here I've got 20 going to come at you. Please, if you do 2 or 3, I think that's great. Too many ideas, too many places. Again, that blurry focus. And also what everybody has to understand, I know everybody on this webinar would because of where you are, but this is definitely a marathon. It is not a sprint. If you think you're going to have the overnight success in 2 months and you're going to be across the world, well, God love you. Hope you do. Hope you do. And I've got my phone number at the end of the presentation, so please call me. But mostly it's the fact is that it's a long game. It's not a short game. And that's what we have to keep remembering on those days, that it just doesn't seem to break at all. It just seems to be more and more of the same. It is a marathon. It just takes tenacity. None of the stuff none of this is groundbreaking. It's not innovative. The fact is that it's the truth, and it's something that we have to keep continuing to remind ourselves. So let's get started. I don't know if anybody's got a gin. If it's time for gin, it's time for gin in the UK. But I want to just, I'm using this visual. It's Steinhardt gin. It's a gin that's produced actually up in northern Nova Scotia in Antigonish. And it's produced by the Steinhardt family, who has been in production of alcohol beverages for 300 years, only in Canada for the last 8 years. Now, why I put that, because, gee, I'd like to have a gin at 10 in the morning, but other than that, the fact is that this man, Thomas Steinhardt, lives, breathes, takes his gin everywhere. So for a story, we went to the specialty food show in Birmingham in the UK, and we have just spent 8 hours on the floor talking about our products, talking about meeting hundreds and hundreds of people. And my first thing is, let's get to the pub, man. I mean, like, let's go. And we get to the pub, and first thing Thomas does is take his gin out and he samples it with the bartender that is at the pub. And that's why that is to me just the greatest example of everything. And the fact is that focus, hard work, never giving up, continuing on. It's the long game at the pub in Birmingham. So I clicked ahead too much, so I'm just going to go back one. So first of all, these are in no particular order, that one is more popular or better or should do it first than the other. It's a fact is that there are 20 ideas, and that was how I went at it. So first of all, as we know, there's a story, and please tell the story. If it wasn't born in a lab, there's a story. And what I find, even with myself, people are too tentative or too humble to tell their story. They don't think it's interesting. I've heard it a dozen times. Yeah, nobody wants to hear that. It's really not interesting. Well, actually it is. It actually is very interesting. Eric said earlier this morning, can't use the word authentic. No, don't use the word authentic in your materials, but make sure that it is authentic. that you have an authentic product, and tell them about, make sure the story is authentic. Don't invent Auntie May when there is no Auntie May, because in this day and age, you'll be found out pretty quick that Auntie May does not exist in your lifetime. So make sure authentic. Don't make it more than it is. Just the fact is that, you know what, don't create something that is, super fantastic. Oh my goodness, I did this. And, there you have to be a little careful. Don't make it more than it is. And your story connects you to sense of place and sense of history. So that is, that it is so important to hear that. It is, people are interested in it as long as it is with the criteria. Mobilize your local cheerleaders. We talked about that a little bit. And influencers, ambassadors, we can define all of them. Fan clubs, advisory boards, passionate supporters. But you know what? They have a job to do for you. Now, I know there is the organic type of cheerleaders that you're influencers and they happen to find you and they like you, and that's great. You need those, and you don't want to sell to them, but you want them to come up organically. But advisory boards are advisory boards. If a lot of small businesses don't have board of directors, it's just a husband and wife team. So having an advisory board to come together virtually, it's now easier than it ever was, and to come together with 6 people, 8 people that are from different parts, and you meet once a month and you go, hey, what'd you think about our business? Or when we did our last tour, how did that work for you? Did we give you the right materials, or that sort of thing? So, have these local cheerleaders that are working with you, and you can find them in a variety of different ways. I love the idea about your influencers giving them a special box or a special thank you or a gift. I think that's an awesome idea. They're passionate supporters, and structure to your cheerleading team their expectations and deliverables. So outside of those organic influencers, others that you're looking for, look, this is what we're hoping are going to do. You're a cheerleader. Be honest with us. Tell us what we are doing right and wrong. Again, I'm going to use authenticity because it is really important internally in the back shop to make sure that everything's authentic and it's honest. There we go. I mean, no one thinks of, having their kitchen as an attraction, but just think about what space you have. We have an ice cream making plant in Truro, Nova Scotia, and we suggested to them that let's do a tour of the ice cream plant. And they're like, nobody wants to do that. I mean, honestly, nobody wants to tour an ice cream plant. Yeah, they do. So you may think that your kitchen, your special dining room is not that attractive. Well, it might be. And it's an example that is coming up more and more. And I think these people might have been on the leading edge curve. There's Bessie House in Nova Scotia. And the fact is that they've seen that smaller groups, more individualized, getting the true experience. Bessie House, now I'm not sure what's happened with them lately, but we're sold out for a whole year. So they got reservations and they were ready through the whole year. Build your product with character, including where it may have started. So that's kind of a motherhood statement. Social distancing will come into play. It's going to be huge. We don't need to go into it, the avoiding the crowd, the intimate environment. I think it's really, the fact of, I've been an off-season traveler for quite a while now because I'm not a big person with crowds, and I do feel it's a much better delivery product. And I don't care about the weather. It's not really that important to me. It's more of getting what the attraction is. And as long as they're serving food, I am good to go. Linking to local. So there is so many organizations that companies could come in and link into, and you're on this webinar. Destination, DMOs, DMCs, convention bureaus, convention services, economic business industry associations. It goes on, and it's fatiguing. I mean, there's just so many people to link in. So figuring out what is the most efficient way to link into this group, and if it's not going to do anything for you, then it's maybe something that you would go and off to the side and on to another day when you have time. So here, for example, Taste of Nova Scotia paired up with the Halifax Convention Center. And now for every convention going into the Halifax Convention Center, there are these displays of local food. So you have all sorts of product there, brochures, you know, what's conference delegate is there. They want to go to, this is a distillery that's up in Nova Scotia. They want to go and they say, hey, if you got a few minutes, come up to the distillery. So it connects the place, it connects the product, and it gives an added value and a dimension to conventions coming into Nova Scotia. So there's a linkage and a partnership that, you know, it's really easy to do. And it's just time consuming. And the fact is that it takes some creativity. Samples, if your product warrants it, do a sample size. You know, Thomas, if you remember my story from the Birmingham pub, Thomas takes out his great big bottle of gin and sets it on the counter. And I was like, geez, Thomas, maybe you should get some sample sizes. And he did. He got some sample sizes. So a little bit easier than carrying around your full product, carrying around samples. You can give it out to anybody, distribution meetings, street, and it makes consumers want more. And also what I have found, sometimes it seems a bit strange, but people would do this, but they put something else in the sample size. So it's like, no, put your product, don't substitute with soap or something. Focused communication strategy. This is motherhood again. You have to have a communication strategy, and you have to have it focused. Interestingly enough, one of the organizations I'm working for, I started in there, and they had 10 different types of messages for 10 different types of communication. I mean, it's like, no, you put them together. You go and it's focused. There's too many messages going out today. You get whether you have and then duplicate them, or whether you do an individual message for each medium. Ensure repeat the story. Again, work on authenticity, not clickbait. You know, that's just irritating these days. And I put an example of there, just for in Canada, we have hashtag takeout day. So I'm looking forward to takeout day tonight. It's every Wednesday, and you get to listen to music and take out. So I'm really looking forward to that today. That was just a personal. So free stuff, and this is kind of on the sampling of the product, but it's more of when you go in store and have actually somebody taste it in front of you, take it out of the bottle, and you give it to them. And again, with Thomas, he took the bottle out, he poured it, he asked for the bartender to give him a little bit of tonic, and they poured it. And then he told the story of his distillery and where it was in Nova Scotia, and the history behind the distillery. So it gives you the whole story, the sample. For many years, I did aggressive sampling programs with grocery retailers, and we never, our whole basis was to tell the story when we trained our people, and to talk about the product and tell the story. Always events will help. So host an event at your attraction, ultimately host an event at a complimentary location, sometimes make it exclusive, invite only, create a local buzz about it. This is the event to be at. Exclusive VIP, so kind of on this, you're our influencer, you're our VIP, we're going to give you everything in advance. Or it could be your advisory group, or it could be any group that you trust or that has accumulated with you that you want them to be VIP. This is where it connects into your cheerleaders to know that they're exclusive, and ensure exclusive is exclusive. I really hate these emails that go, this is your exclusive offer, you and 4 billion others. So just those are the types of things that you want to make sure when it says exclusive, it's exclusive. So by the way, it's Happy Earth Day, so Happy Earth Day, everyone. And this is the be the change you want to see in the world. So lead a team, either an internal team or external team, to transform a public space. And if you can put some type of your name to it, community gardens, community ovens, huge, a market. Something that you see a public space, it's kind of sitting there being wasted. You're thinking, gee, what could we do? Yeah, this is a little more sweat equity. It sure is. But if you're passionate about your product and if you're passionate about what you're doing, it won't be that way. It'll be, I want to do this. I really want to do this. Collaboration, we've talked about it. It's going to be more important than ever, and it's collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. It's just crucial. You cannot exist in a vacuum anymore. You never should have, and it's going to be even more important now because as budgets get limited, you've got to look around and say, who can I partner with? Who can I collaborate with? How can we share the costs? How can we be together? There's a lot of ego with partnerships. I've seen it myself, collaborating and saying, geez, if I'm a partner with somebody, God, that means that diminishes me. Well, you got two options. You can either be there as a partner or you don't have the funds and you're not anywhere. So partnerships are really going to be more crucial than ever. Create a market, a public market, a destination, a trail, with your fellow collaborators. And it doesn't necessarily have to be food. It can be complementary. But it has to make sense who you collaborate with, and make sure you're playing the long game with your partners and the collaborators. Avoid those short-term, easy partnerships, and look, people that maybe haven't that are selling you something that maybe just isn't going to fit for you, or is you even know yourself it's not feasible, and that they are sustainable partners. Your local culinary schools are just, my God, the students are always looking for new products, new places to visit, new things to learn, and they're going to be the cheerleaders going out after that. If they believe in a product, they're going to be going with it. Have them use your own products, offer to be a guest lecturer, partner for an event benefit. I mean, they have so much going on, and they are just such a great resource, and you'll learn from them because they see it so differently. Students really see it from a very innocent point of view, and you need to have a student on your advisory board. It just they're priceless. We talked about technology, again, apps, building your app, be tech savvy, join other digital guides. I mean, there's a lot of things going out there. If you go and you look at, compare this to yesteryear and the yellow pages, it's a must-have. You have to be there. And, you get into certain people and they're, oh, I don't understand it, or oh, it's too much for me, or yeah, I don't know how to do it. Just figure it out. Google it. It's pretty easy. Sweat equity partnerships. Again, talked a little bit about that, but sponsor the community cleanup, sponsor the community barbecue for a local cause. A lot of times they're not looking for a lot of money. They're looking for help and assistance and maybe some product, local school initiatives. So I'm kind of, anytime people talk about marketing, talk about promotional products, I'm kind of split on promotional products, to be really honest with you. I've been a big fan of them, but that's just personal. I find a lot of people order way too much stuff and then they just give it away. And for the sustainability of the environment, there's a bunch of crap out there. So anyway, if it's the right promotional product, and consider it really carefully, if you have the budget. And again, just there's other things you can do. Order the quantity you need versus the most economical volume purchase. Oh my God, if you order 500,000, we'll give it to you for 30 cents. Well, you're never going to use 500,000 and it's going to end up in the landfill. So I'm really, like I said, I'm a little bit dubious on this one, but it's what it is. Connect it to the attraction. The most popular promotional item I ever saw were foam lobsters that Nova Scotia did, and my God, people, they would walk on water to have a foam lobster. So that's what it's there. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Video, it's got to be, everybody has to invest in a video. Now, make it about you. There's that word, authentic, and it tells a story. Now, I am going to play this video, and Eric, I'm sure you're on the line. If you could let me know that it's playing,
I'm here,
okay?
yeah.
Okay, so let's go. And morning, if it plays, you're going to see scenes of delicious lobster dishes. Now, that might be a little tough for us here where it's close to lunch, but anyway.
My name is Nicole Hopkins, and I am the owner of the Lobster Shack restaurant and takeout in Barrington Passage. I grew up in this area, always growing up in the fishing industry, and a long line of fishermen and fish dealers in my family, and I've always had a passion for the water, for the ocean, and especially for our fresh lobster in Nova Scotia.
Well, hi, I'm Tony Ross. I work here at the Lobster Shack. I just kind of walked into it. I come as a helper and found myself cooking. Stuff we cooked on boats. I cooked on boats since I was a boy. Youngest deckhand cook, so I was always the youngest. And I got stuck with the job.
With his 30 years of experience of being on boats, he has a keen knowledge of how to cook fresh fish and lobster.
Cooking for a bunch of men that has worked 22 hours a day without meals, and they're very fussy. Fishermen are very fussy eaters. Everything has to be perfect or it don't work. And that's the way I was taught to cook, told to cook, and that's the only way I ever cook.
We serve all fresh lobster here. We deal with all of our own lobster, and Tony shucks lobster every day.
We live here in the lobster capital of Canada, probably the world. So every other person of our locals is a lobster fisherman or a lobster fisherman's wife. Trying to pass cannery meat or frozen meat off on those guys ain't gonna happen. But all the dealers here, a lot of them's my family. I don't have to ever worry about fresh lobster. I make one phone call if I need it, and it's walked right here into the kitchen. Like I have no problem at all getting fresh lobster. It's just natural.
So we reached out to everyone in the community and asked for their help. And that's exactly what we got. People were showing up with things that they donated for the Lobster Shack. They were showing up offering to help us because everyone in the community was so excited that we were finally going to have a restaurant to showcase our lobster.
Baked stuffed lobster, the lobster fondue, all of the lobster dishes is pretty well signature. My version of the cream lobster is probably the most popular. A unique way that's only cooked by fishermen on boats, and I brought it here to the restaurant. People who try it love it.
Our first 2 summers together, we were out on a boat raking Irish moss, and I took many rake handles in the head, broken glasses. I had to work like a dog for 2 summers. That's what he made me do. And so now it's payback with the restaurant.
Yeah, we never have a bad day.
So, hope you enjoyed that video. And every time I see that lobster and toast, that's almost mean to be showing that. Keep going. And I just wanted to show you that video because of the authenticity of it. It was who they were, very proud of who they were. And it was just a video that you want to show because it shows all about the attraction or the restaurant or what you're talking about. It's not manufactured in a lab. So the next one, community, the spirit of giving back. That is huge right now. Obviously, if what's going down here. Here we have a restaurant in Dartmouth right now that is going up, and they're making 300 meals a day for people that can't get out or they're shut in or something that they need a meal, and it's being very difficult to get a good nutritious meal. So they've turned their restaurant around because they can't they obviously can't open, and they didn't do a takeout service or a delivery service. They turned their attention to serving the community and the spirit of giving back. So they've been mentioned now on national TV by our Prime Minister, and it was not any, I know these two people very well, and it was not for any of those reasons whatsoever. It was because they sat there 3 weeks ago and went, what do we do? What can we do? And they went, we're going to give back. That's what we're passionate about right now, and that's what we're going to do. I think my time is probably coming really close here. Network. Again, it's the long game. You're going to go in, you're not going to know anybody. You're going to start to bring product, flash drives. People are going to want you there because you're bringing stuff. But take comfort that no one likes networking. Everybody talks about it, but you need to do it. And what you can establish through relationships is great. Yes, the mainstream media, it still exists. It's not called fake news. It can be your friend. Doing it with concise press releases, a solid media list, deliver the facts, not the fiction. These people see 100 press releases a day. They don't need anything except the facts, but they can still be a friend of yours. And always, it's still working on a Tuesday to Thursday consistency. Obviously, right now, you're not going to get too much traction unless it's like a community service you're doing. It's just because of the time we're in. So moving forward, though, that is still a good idea. And create an experience at your attraction. Be something that you're known for, or do something that they'll always remember. Wow, they had the best track art, or my God, those are the best cinnamon buns, or the happiest employees. It's an experience at your attraction that cannot be duplicated anywhere else except at your attraction. And this might not be just about the products that you're linking in and what you're doing. It's going to be it could be something else. So tell the story, local cheerleaders. I've summarized those. We don't need to go into those there. And so thank you. And that's all I have to say at this point in time.
Thank you, Janice. Lots of information, and it's hard to put so much great content in just a few slides. So just a reminder to everyone that we will be summarizing the key takeaways from everyone's presentations and sending that out to you next week, along with the links to the sessions. So don't worry about having to take all of the notes on that. One question that I would like to just lead with, Janice, has to do with how things are expected to change, because some of these smaller producers now are either going out of business or have gone out of business or say that they will go out of business. And a lot of them are these smaller providers. And there is some concern out there about culinary homogenization, where a small spirits producer might close their tasting room and they might put in a fast food Mexican place in that spot. What are your thoughts on the current situation and the prognosis?
Yeah, I mean, it is anybody's guess at this point in time, is the short answer. But the longer answer, and what I've been hearing and talking to many businesses, is the ones that I believe that will move forward are the ones that are preparing right now, that you understand that it is going to change. The frustration I think that we're feeling here in Canada is we don't know what it's going to change to. So business cannot retool right now to say, okay, if you're going to open, we are going to say essentially all tasting rooms for wineries are going to open on August 1st. Well, they don't know the date, they don't know what they have to do to prepare. So I'm working on a task force in this region, is to keep advocating to government, and we want to keep hearing from small business, what do you need right now? And a lot of them need the support that's been promised to them on wage relief. And the next thing, they need to know there's a plan. And they need to know that there's going to be a plan to start. And promising all of the money is great, but they want to be back in business, and they need to know how they're going to be back in business. So I think I think there's a lot of desire. I think there's a lot of people that want to keep doing what they're doing there because they have that passion. But I think there's just so many unknowns to comment on it. It would be, you just don't know. Sorry. Did that answer your question, Eric? Sorry.
Kind of. I mean, your insight is valuable. So whatever you have to say is, we trust your insight. What would you say your strategy is to discover a product's USP?
So first of all, when you're looking at your product, and you always want to make sure that it is a product that has a need, that it satisfies a need. And the fact is that you look at your competition as well, and you say, okay, what does my product do? And I look at all my competitors in my marketplace, and what can I do differently? So what is my USP? So a competitive review, a market review. So what is the market for the product? And at the end of the day, you go, okay, could it be the story is the USP? That's a little tough, a little soft. Is it? I use this special ingredient that only I know about, and I know that it's just going to change the taste. I'm a firm believer that every product, if you don't find your USP, then go out and find it. Like, you can't go out without it, because it just, you're going to have a tough time unless you have millions of dollars to go and market a product that really is not much different than another one. So if you have limited budget, ensure you find your USP, ensure it has value to your market, and is compared to a competitor.
What would you say some companies fail to do when they first try to break into this competitive market?
It would be, first of all, thinking it's going to be a lot easier than it is. So they believe that it all comes down to the product, and I've seen that so many times. Is that if I've got this best product in the world, I believe it is in the world. So first of all, I believe that that's not even substantiated. So the world's going to pound a path to my door. And I'm going to sit here, and my biggest problem with all of it is going to, how do I produce for the world? And then that reality becomes, it's very jarring. And to say, oh, okay, well, I guess they're not beating a path to my door, and now I've got a financial issue, because I invested in this beautiful location with this great product, and I've done nothing. I've expected the product to sell itself. Biggest mistake.
Yeah.
Biggest mistake.
Hey, Janice, while I asked the next question, there was a request if you could post a link to the video that you shared earlier.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So the next question, I like this question. It's interesting. Do you think the lobster industry will focus on a more local market for sales and recovery? Would be great to be able to access more seafood locally. And what I like about this question is we all know that some of the best quality product gets exported, and a lot of local people complain about that because they don't get the best products themselves. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's been a real issue for me, especially living in Ontario and knowing that the lobster is being shipped offshore, to Korea and Asia, which is nothing. People have gone to that market, and I understand that. That's great. They're growing their business. Awesome, no problem with that. But I also think domestically that so there is an issue right now in Canada, and whether right or wrong, this is the issue, and I'm not going to comment on it, is the fact that government money is there for export. We have to export. Canada's a small country. We're only 33 million, so we have to export. So it has to be export, and it has to go outside of our borders. We can't, there isn't any financial support from any government to say, okay, you're going to go to Ontario, you're going to sell your lobster to Ontario, where the AR, the accounts receivable, is solid, the market's solid. You only have to go through 3 provinces to get there. It's a big market. It's 14.5 million people. But we don't want to compete provinces against provinces. So we're going to get you to ship it all offshore. I think that thinking has got to change, especially as we move forward, and even taking that further to our other crisis that we haven't talked about a whole lot, but our climate crisis. And the fact is that you're shipping all of this product in planes, great big 747 jumbo jets, and the energy that it's taking to get that product there. So yes, I want, the fact is that there is a country here, there's 14.5 million people in Ontario. It's a great size market for another smaller jurisdiction, but within our borders, tough to do it.
I think my takeaway from what you just said was the thinking needs to change. And I think if we haven't learned anything in this coronavirus crisis, it is that all of our thinking about everything needs to change. How we do business, why governments can't meet the needs of personal protection equipment, stuff like that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Last question, really quickly, has to do with sampling and putting together a sampling package and maybe charging for it. And I think a great tie into this, Janice, would be the gift baskets that you used to do at Taste of Nova Scotia. So can you talk about this really
Mhm.
quickly?
Sure. I think that is a great idea. I mean, I think that's what we're going to come to. But with everything that you have, technology and the availability to do this, it's easier than it ever was, right? To do a little sample package, to put a sample of your product in, a little bit of information. If you remember the original sample package that I did for Eric, we wanted to host the International Culinary Tourism Summit, and we put a lobster box, and we put all sorts of things into the lobster box of Nova Scotia. So and it didn't cost a lot of money. It was the fact is that we wanted attention. We had Taste of Nova Scotia gift baskets. They are gift baskets. They are 100% products that are made in Nova Scotia. They're not sample products. So the fact is that they're full usage products, and you can order those as gift baskets. But I think what the question might have been as well is to put together like sample bags, sample packages that you can distribute, send out. And the fact is, open sampling, we know won't be here for a while. I mean, that's a given. You're not going to be able to do the Costco food tour or it just isn't going to be there. So there may be at some point ways we can do it with plexiglass or whatever, but I think we're far off. I think a much better idea is the little the boxes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For anyone else who is really interested in this issue of sampling, that is the subject of our May Food Travel Talk TV live episode taking place on May the 15th. And if you go to the events tab of our website and look at the events calendar, you can find that information and register for it there. So with that, we need to wrap up. We need to get ready for our next session, which is the art of protecting and promoting culinary cultures with Anubhav Sapra with Delhi Food Walks. He will be talking with us in just about 13 minutes. So Janice, thank you. I always love listening to you. You have so many ideas, and I look forward to our next glass of wine together. So
Oh, same here. Same here. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you so much. And night.
thanks.
And night too. Thanks.